Welcome to CryptoShout, where we put the FU in FUD. And guys, today I wanted to share with you just a couple of really important news topics that I believe are pertinent to the time that we are living in. I know still to this day, many people are still hesitant to invest in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and just the market, this market in general, because a lot of their hometown heroes, a lot of their traditional investor models over the years have initially rejected Bitcoin. But as time has gone on, what the news hasn't reported is that a lot of these people who initially rejected Bitcoin or even may have said negative things about it in the past have actually changed their minds. And so I want to not only cover a couple of people who changed their minds, but a couple of other key pieces of information that I think are going to have a big impact on the adoption of cryptocurrency over the next few months and the next few years. First, I want to start with 5 public figures who changed their minds about Bitcoin. And to me, this is just huge. Not necessarily huge, but definitely interesting information for those who may have heard these gentlemen talk against Bitcoin in the past. Now you'll see a complete reversal of this. And of course, I'll leave links for all of this information in the description box. But first, let me just cover real quick 5 public figures who changed their minds about Bitcoin. And the first is Brian Kelly, none other from CNBC, the contributor and currency investment advisor. So in 2013, he compared Bitcoin to tulip mania. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that expression. Basically, tulip mania is this expression that is formed off of a time in history, supposedly, where the price of tulips went up through the roof due to inflation and overvaluing tulips, and to the point that people began to invest in tulips really heavily, and the price of them went up and up and up until eventually the price of tulips crashed and people were left holding a ton of worthless tulips. And so that time in history is something that people are pointing to when they talk about Bitcoin, only when they don't understand Bitcoin whatsoever. I could understand comparing Bitcoin or Dogecoin maybe to Tulip Mania or something like that, or Shiba Inu, something like that. But Bitcoin in general and cryptocurrency space in general is not a fair comparison whatsoever, as you and I both know. But a year later, he shifted his views. And again, I think this is interesting because you hear when the negativity comes out, but you rarely hear the positivity. But actually, he went on to make his own cryptocurrency. He said, I created my own Bitcoin-like currency, Nautilus coin, as an experiment, and I wanted to learn about the technology and create awareness about digital currencies. So he just published a book called The Bitcoin Big Bang, Selling for Bitcoin, of course, and recently said, Bitcoin is the most important innovation in the history of money. So there it is. Next, let's jump right into Mark T. Williams. He's a finance teacher at Boston University, and he was originally dubbed Professor of Bitcoin in 2013 after he predicted that Bitcoin would trade for less than $10 by June 2014. But Williams had much more to say about cryptocurrency than just making dire price predictions. He said originally that Bitcoin was just smoke and mirrors. To assume currency can be computer-generated, run in a decentralized manner, and outside of the central banking system and control is farcical and economically dangerous, he said. But after being proven wrong, the Bitcoin price in June as well was well above $10. Williams was surreptitiously quoted on a Wall Street Journal piece as conceding, the probability of success is low, but if it does hit, the reward will be very large. So not exactly a huge change of heart, but definitely saying, hey, it's possible now. Peter Schiff, another great big one that most people may be familiar with if you're already in this crypto space. He's a CEO at Euro Pacific Capital. And in the same thing, in 2013, he talked about tulip mania. He mentioned the same type of thing. There's no inherent value to this. It's in a bubble. But then in 2014, his precious metals company began accepting Bitcoins for the payment. And when he was called out about the sudden change of heart, on CNBC, he said, I certainly want people who own Bitcoins to buy precious metals. So to me, this is an interesting kind of a cop-out of an answer, honestly, because he's not saying, yeah, we approve Bitcoin, we think it's valuable now, but they are saying that at the same time by simply accepting it. If they didn't think it was valuable and worthwhile and had any longevity, then they certainly wouldn't accept it. So, but he doesn't want to say that. He just wants to say, yeah, if you got Bitcoin, we're going to let you buy our precious metals. Next is Don Tapscott. He's the author and founder of Tapscott Group. The tech culture analyst Don Tapscott never publicly denounced Bitcoin. He did so privately, And he recently confessed to such in a room of students in Toronto. And he said, "I used to think Bitcoin would never fly. Now I think it's not only going to fly as a currency, but the underlying blockchain technology will be a core part of the next generation of the internet." And I completely agree. It's going to radically transform not just commerce, but many of our institutions in society. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand already how the blockchain is building the fundamental infrastructure for the Web 3.0, for the next internet, the internet redone, then you should really look into that, because it's a fascinating thing. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole is not just a store of value. There's so many vitally performing functions that these softwares and these companies are performing for the future of our future internet infrastructure. And so last for this article specifically, Joe Weisenthal. He's a former executive editor at Business Insider. And Joe Weisenthal recently left his post at Business Insider, where in a 2013 article he titled "Bitcoin is a Joke." He said that there was no future for Bitcoin because it doesn't have any intrinsic value of the US dollar. He argued that Bitcoin was hopeless because it had no aggressive military to make others use it. Yep, he really wrote that. Wow. So he's admitting that the U.S. dollar only works because we have an aggressive military to force others to use it. Interesting. I mean, I get, maybe I'm putting those words in his mouth, but it seems like that's what he was implying there. And then Weisenthal, too, changed his tune in a later post entitled, "I'm changing my mind about Bitcoin." And since this picture didn't work for us, I'll just put another one on the screen here for you. And he said, "It's wrong to say that Bitcoin has no value. There's prima facie evidence that this is untrue." And finally, there's an entire organization that deserves an honorable mention, and that is the Mises Institute, whose tagline is "Austrian Economics, Freedom, and Peace." It's home to many scholars, some of whom were once sure that gold and silver were the only kind of sound money that could ever exist. But then in 2013, the Mises Institute posted a QR code on its website and began gladly accepting Bitcoins as donations. Young scholars of the Mises Institute now write regularly about how cryptocurrency fulfills all the standards of sound money: homogeneity, divisibility, non-counterfeit ability, scarcity, portability, and durability. Definitely. I'll leave the links for this article in the description box if you guys want to check that out. And before we close this down, I want to show you a couple more pieces of information that I think are definitely relevant to the same conversation. And I'm going to do another video about Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad author. There's a lot of stuff about a lot of things he's been saying recently about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and he's definitely a huge supporter of it. And to me, this is an important one because I know he had a huge influence on a lot of people in the generation above us, in the baby boomer generation, and even in the Gen X generation. And I think he sold something like 40 million books in the past, teaching people in generations prior to ours how to manage their money. And so a lot of influence here. A lot of people take him very seriously. So for him, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad author, Robert Kiyosaki, he has warned here, I just wanted to pull this up, and again, I'll do another video on this, but he previously praised Bitcoin for its scarce properties, and he has warned that real estate and gold guys are being phased out, and the Bitcoin world is coming into view right now. Here he is right here. Author of international best-selling financial advice book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He said, "I think it's important, especially for old guys like me, to understand the crypto world because that's the world that's coming into view right now, and us real estate and gold guys are being phased out." Kiyosaki told his radio show listeners, later uploaded to YouTube, published in 1997, Rich Dad, Poor Dad advocates the importance of financial literacy and became a New York Times bestseller, going on to sell around 40 million copies worldwide. There it is. Kiyosaki, who was speaking to Bitcoin and crypto investor Anthony Pompliano, has predicted the Bitcoin price will reach $75,000 per Bitcoin within 3 years, up from just under $10,000 now. So this was written a little while back. There's this battle on today between old guys and young guys, Kiyosaki said, pointing to investors like Warren Buffett, known as the Oracle of Omaha, who are still anti-crypto. As an old guy, it's taken me a while to get on to Bitcoin and crypto, but now I'm buying it. Kiyosaki said, adding that he did try to buy Bitcoin in the late 2017 when the price was nearing $20,000, but he didn't complete the deal. Kiyosaki's interest in Bitcoin was peaked earlier this year when Bitcoin went through a supply squeeze known as a halving, just as the U.S. Federal Reserve and other central banks around the world were ramping up money printing to prop up economies ravaged by coronavirus-induced lockdowns. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are now challenging the hegemony of the U.S. dollar and other fiat currencies, Kiyosaki wrote alongside in the radio interview. All right, so I'm not going to read all of this right now. I'll leave the links for you. But the point is, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad author, now in full support of Bitcoin. So Goldman Sachs is close to offering Bitcoin and other digital assets and offering that to its wealth management clients. So this is a little bit of older news, but it's been reiterated more recently that this is actually coming to the finance space for Goldman Sachs. If you saw my previous videos, you'll know that Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and Morgan Stanley are all offering crypto-backed products coming as soon as June of this year, 2021. So Goldman Sachs being added to this repertoire of people who are going to be offering crypto, or at least giving first-time investors access and exposure to the crypto market, is really huge, because it's going to demonstrate to many more investors, albeit accredited investors or multimillionaires anyways, it's going to show them what crypto can really do, and that's going to make them very excited. It's going to make the banks more excited, and I think it's going to make the general public more excited as well. The good news about cryptocurrency, though, is that you don't have to wait for a bank to tell you as an accredited investor. And you don't have to wait until you have $1 million and $200,000 of income a year. You don't have to wait for all that to happen before you invest in Bitcoin. The best part about Bitcoin is this is a huge, upcoming, growing asset class that, yes, is very attractive to very rich people, but it can be attractive and useful to us too. And there's no reason why you can't download some simple app on your phone or open up an exchange account and buy some Bitcoin yourself before everyone else does, to really gain the value, get access to the value of Bitcoin now while the price is still relatively low, and compared to where it could be in a couple of months or even in a year after all these big banks offer these products to their clients. And that's it for now. I was going to do a couple more links for you guys, but you know what? I'm going to break that off into a separate video because I don't want this to get too long. But guys, I just wanted to remind you that every day more and more public figures, CEOs, banks, are completely changing their mind about cryptocurrency. We already know about the big wigs, from ARK Investing and Tesla and Elon Musk and Mark Cuban. We're all familiar with those guys already, but I wanted to just share with you a couple more people who you may be familiar with who completely changed their minds and realized the real value here. And I'm going to be sharing a lot more of this type of information very soon in the next subsequent videos, because I have a lot more to share. If you guys appreciate the content, and if you love cryptocurrency and you love anti-FUD and want to promote the truth about cryptocurrency, please do me a favor and subscribe, like, and leave me a comment below, because it really does help the engagement. It helps YouTube encourage the algorithm to promote my videos to more people. Again, I really genuinely appreciate you dropping by and taking the time to listen to this. My name's Justin with CryptoShout. I'll see you guys next time.